Sure, and I mean, obviously that wasn't my intention, but I mean, I don't know how to tell you other than just like I don't have,
Okay, if I understand what you're saying, that you don't have the damn fight. Okay, here's my problem. Okay, what I feel. Okay, I hate my fucking country because of people like you. Okay, I actually fucking hate you. Okay, I really do from the bottom of my fucking heart. I think that people like you are destroyed. Like when I have to argue with communists and socialists, they tell me like liberals get the bullet first. Fucking liberalism is dead. It's because of people like you that I can't really disagree with them. Because when I look at how
Hey, this is Coffee Politics. I believe this would be a very interesting video for several reasons. One being as there is a lot of tension going on in Destiny and Vosh's community with the recent statements made from Vosh. Second being that I've also noticed that on YouTube at the very least, there's really no big video that has been made about Destiny. Of course you have a few from conservative channels, but none really from moderate channels or even channels from the left that take the time to argue his comment or belief in a video essay format. And so I thought to do so myself, though in this video I'll be focusing on taking a non-biased political view on Destiny and Vosh's comments. As you may know, Vosh had two debates recently where his first debate he made a couple very strong arguments about why trans people and really people from the left should take arms and defend themselves from conservatives because trans people are potentially under attack.
I think it's high time that the perpetrators of a potential genocide be referred to as what they actually are. This liberal hand-wringing has not brought Republicans over to us.
Okay, yeah,
they are evil. They're murderers, and I think it's okay to tell people that. If that makes them go out and buy guns and ammo and prepare for a day where they try to enact that genocide, then all better for it. So, but like others will say like, no, don't do that. There might be attempts at ousting. Remember during the Black Lives Matter rallies, there were like those Patriot Prayer dumb fucks rolling their, $60,000 trucks through like urban neighborhoods with a bunch of guys with guns in the pickup trucks. When that happens, I want people to be able to take shots at them from apartment windows.
This came as a shock to many people, and Destiny reacted to this live debate of Vosh debating Luke Beasley, and he also reacted to Vosh's second debate, where Vosh talked to Rose about his prior comments in his previous Luke Beasley debate. And so some interesting things happened from this video. One being that Destiny just flat out called him a terrorist.
Worse than a son. In terms of like negativity of rhetoric, yeah, actually, like hardcore. Like this is like whatever stochastic terrorist bullshit definition is before. This is about as bad as I think I've ever heard from a lefty before. I don't know if I've ever heard anything as bad as this video.
When he called me a stochastic terrorist for my hatred of cops.
I don't call Vosh a stochastic terrorist anymore. I just call him a terrorist, okay? Stochastic terrorism implies that you're being way more subtle with your rhetoric. But when he's elevated himself to the point of saying like, when I see certain patriots driving down the street, grab a gun, lean out your window, and be able to take shots at them, we're kind of move past stochastic terrorism. Like, okay.
Did you call him a terrorist?
Yeah, I did. If you heard me say that, I did, yeah.
Do you stand by that?
I stand by the talk I was having, yeah.
Do you stand by calling him a terrorist?
I probably would for me, yeah.
So you think he fits the definition of terrorist or conducting terrorism?
What do you want me to say instead, Disco?
I want you to be consistent, buddy.
Now before I go in depth on this video, I want to establish two things. First, I'm not really here to argue on whether or not Destiny was right in calling Vosh a terrorist. Whether Destiny's right or not in doing so does not really matter. I'll probably explain why later in the video. Second, I'm here to establish that by Destiny's own definitions and actions, you could also consider him a terrorist as well, or at the very least, an ex-terrorist. Lastly, I may also add some other critiques I have for Destiny, and some prescriptions I have for him as well. All the timestamps to the necessary parts of this video will be provided in the description. I will also be providing the links and timestamps of the clips I'll be discussing in this video down in the description as well, so you can get the full context of the clip. So, to start the video, let's start with some definitions. It can be really tricky to truly define the term terrorist because as Destiny said, when one person defines a terrorist, another person could define as a hero. And I agree with him on this. Muslims are a perfect example for this, as there are a lot of Muslims attacks where one could perceive as just a Muslim committing a violent act. However, the right, and to be fair, most people will still end up calling it a terrorist act due to some underlying intentions. Luckily, Destiny himself has defined the term terrorist for us.
What is any definition, Destiny? What definitions are getting at?
When I say terrorist, okay, I think that the understanding is like, wow, this is like really bad. That's basically it. Like,
no,
like, yeah, I don't think people hear me like, wow, terrorist. Destiny said Vosh
if someone cut you off on the road, you wouldn't be like, oh, it was really bad cutting you off the road. You'd be like, oh, it's terrorism. Or would you?
That's how many times I've done it. Okay? No, I wouldn't, because it's not like, I'm just using it as like a moral intensifier. Yeah, but for me, terrorism is like, that's really bad. There's not like a set of things that like I'm calling into it. Again, I think you want to say like terrorism is when like people do really bad things. I probably agree with you.
No, you wouldn't.
I think I would.
Terrorism is when you do really bad things.
Yeah, when it's like super fucked. Or
yeah, I could not believe it for myself. For him to define terrorist, a term that holds huge baggage, reducing it to something as someone just being very bad?
Oh yeah.
Now, one has to wonder, with this definition of terrorist, no wonder he called Vosh a terrorist. You could call a lot of people a terrorist as well with his definition of terrorism. You could call Nick Fuentes a terrorist. You could call Trump a terrorist. You could call Brittany Simon as a terrorist upon a point.
I'm also a bit disturbed by your claim that the world would be a better place if all of the level 1s killed themselves.
Probably would be, but I have a one and he's mine, and I'll kill anyone who comes at him because he's mine. He's a piece of shit, he's useless, but he's my piece of shit.
What percentage of people do you think are level 1s?
Very little, very few.
What percent?
Ones are probably, I don't know. One is a very specifically special person. I haven't met very many in my life, so even like 2%, 3%. Very many. Fives, a little bit more fives than that, I think. And then threes and fours, they're scattered. But maybe not. Maybe I could be getting my numbers wrong. Realistically, it's probably not even that. It's probably like 80% twos or 60%, but you know what I mean.
So a few hundred people are watching this right now, right? Probably somewhere like 500 to 1,000.
Hey.
I think I have ethical issues with telling 3% of 1,000 people, that's 30 people, that the world would be a better place if they killed themselves.
You could call a lot of people a terrorist that one may not even call a terrorist themselves. I mean, at least I do not think Vosh should go as far as calling Nick Fuentes a terrorist, yet under Destiny's definition, you definitely could. Also, what does really bad mean? For example, I think if you punch someone for an unjustifiable reason, then I would say that is really bad. However, by that, Mr. Girl, Destiny's friend, is also a terrorist because he has admitted to that very same thing.
Said, for the purpose of honesty, I will say I didn't punch her that hard, but I did technically punch my ex in the face, and her reaction was to look at me and say, "Why are you punching me in the face?" Which is exactly what I needed in that moment. There's probably a different way I could have gotten it, I'm sure. But why did I punch her in the face? Because we were going out to lunch with my father.
Destiny later went on to admit that he uses the term terrorist as just of a moral intensifier. However, I believe that this just destroys the term. Destiny's now just calling anyone who does a really bad thing a terrorist, just like the Fox News host calling a black person who may have done a really bad thing as a thug.
Doing this is a big problem because it oversimplifies the meaning of the term and reduces them into nothingness, all the while the person being called the term has this huge reputation of being called a terrorist, which, as you may know, calling someone a terrorist is a huge charge. It could even put someone on an FBI list.
And so hopefully, Destiny does not mind me using his own definition to further show why he fits in it very greatly.
Oh, I did troll the shit out of the DDoS kid. That's a guy, that's one of the people, like, legitimately, like, you have no, like, it's actually kind of scary, like, how close I was to getting people together to go down to his house and kill him and his family. Or it would have just been him and his father. Because I didn't know anything about it. Dude, that was some of the most fucked up shit in my entire life. I was so fucking close to doing it. But I was making so much money on Twitch, and I don't know if Nathan was involved in yet, but for whatever reason, I decided that the current life I had wasn't worth the risk of... Oh my god, I was so close to this fucking address. I had fucking streets mapped out and fucking you have no fucking idea. That's when I first started getting an interest in, like, owning a weapon. I got a permit to own a gun and everything. Holy fuck.
If anyone does not know, this is a clip about a situation from around 2011 through 2012. Now, I already know what you're gonna say. This is about something from over 10 years ago. You can't hold him to that today. And I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that Destiny still pretty much defends what he said in this clip till this day.
Chat log from 5 years ago. From 5 years ago. Little kid. He was like 16 years old. He was preventing me from working.
I guess that justifies it. You can murder people if they're 16. You're
Sure. Yeah, literally being 16 was the only prerequisite to being murdered there. You got it, Tonka.
Sherman says, "Fight my 16-year-old and watch what happens, you fucking dwarf." Did you feel bad for saying that shit about, going after that kid, or
the kid that DDoS me? No, dude, that guy was destroying my fucking life. He was old enough to know nothing. He wouldn't stop, and his dad wouldn't stop him.
You've got a streamer who's admitting that he tracked down information on a minor to find out where he lives. That streamer owns a gun, and he's shown that gun multiple times on stream. He's made numerous statements that he had a plan to follow or kill this child, and that he isn't remorseful about it. My question is, how the fuck did the FBI not come to talk to you about that rather than the kid bombing your stream?
Now sure, these videos are from 2017 through 2018. However, these are the most recent videos of him defending this position, and as far as I know, he has never walked back his statements. So we have Destiny admitting to planning to shoot a kid, and also gathering people together to travel hundreds of miles to kill someone. And not only that, there are videos of him that are really not that old of him defending this, and as of the making this video, he has never walked back his statements and/or disavow his comments. Meaning that if someone else is in a similar position he was in, with even worse circumstances, that they have a right to arm themselves and shoot someone even if they are 16 years old. That is the position that, as far as we know, he still holds to this day unless he's willing to walk that back. Even giving Destiny some charity, he still at the time wanted to kill his father. Now of course, it is not as extreme as false statements, but it's definitely an extreme action he would defend if anyone does it. It would definitely qualify as him being a terrorist by his own definition, or at the very least an ex-terrorist, as at the time he was willing to commit that action and only chose not to since he did not want to ruin his really good life of being a pro streamer.
Like, the rioting needs to fucking stop. And if that means, like, white redneck fucking militia dudes out there mowing down dipshit protesters that think that they can torch buildings at 10 p.m., then at this point they have my fucking blessing. Because holy shit, this fucking shit needs to stop. It needed to stop a long time ago. Like, holy fuck.
Now, here's a clip I'm sure everyone remembers. A clip so spicy that it got him removed from Twitch partner. Now again, similar to the previous clip, these statements are a couple years old, however he defends these statements to this day.
Now, ignoring whether or not Vosh is true in calling lefties to arm themselves, this statement is not really too far off from Vosh's statements in terms of violent rhetoric. Also,
who's to say that mowing down protesters that are looting would stop them from looting? What if it could make it worse? And why is it specifically white redneck militiamen? Why wouldn't you just argue that anyone has a right to mow down protesters? And who's to say that rioting needs to stop, and that people need to stop burning down buildings? Destiny himself argued that under certain circumstances, he would defend rioting, and that rioters from the George Floyd protest were justified.
The focus should be on the shitty parts of the riots. The focus should be on the fact that people are protesting and shit because of the guy that was killed. Not like, don't fuck the looting. Like, if a conservative, if you don't want to be dumb as fuck, if a conservative comes up to you and is like, oh, so do you support the looters? And you go, no, the looters are shit, fuck them. But the protests and the riots overall, I think, are a good thing. Meat of the protests, and even the riots, right? Setting fire to cop cars, police station, shit like that can be defended. The real political violence, that's fine. Stealing, PlayStation 4? No. That's not part of it, okay? Just, isn't rioting bad optics, though? Rioting against, like, police stations and shit? No, fuck no. Rioting could be optics as hell. I mean, it's bad optics to the people. The thing is that If we restrict rioting to like police stations and shit, right? The only people that bad optics to are the people you want to take bad optics to anyway. People you want to take attention and to get mad and to take notice or whatever. But I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's easily justifiable.
Easily justifiable, huh? So a couple months prior to his mowed down protesters comment, he defends the rioting, saying it is a good thing and Americans have a right to do so. And then a couple months later, he says the rioting needs to stop and rednecks need to kill protesters who are burning down a building. Who is to say someone isn't burning down a government building? Destiny a few months prior defended rioting against the government property, and yet he has never walked his defense back. So using Destiny's argument, we can see that rioting can be a justifiable thing, and yet he called it to stop, and he said that white militiamen should take up arms in defense of property, even if it may be governmental property. Now, to be good faith to Destiny, let's say that he may have misspoken in this video and he meant only private property. And then let's also be even more fair to Destiny, since he has also admitted to being a little bit too heated in this video and he would have rewarded things differently. Now for whatever reason, for the life of me, I could not find a clip of him saying this, despite me remembering hearing him say this a couple of times. So just in case my memory is faulty, I just wanted to mention that he may have not even walked back his statements at all. However, even if you take my word for it, him walking some parts back would not put him totally in the clear of the terrorist label. Vosh has walked back his statements.
So if we shorten that to 5 years, it would be, I don't think I ever gave it, did I ever say like a time period? I just said that if the Republicans win, they would undermine democracy, and once they had like, largely uncontested power, they would cement that power by directing like hatred against minority groups, which is what they've always done. I mean, that could take a long time, I don't know. I suspect it'll happen within my lifetime. At least the effort will happen. I hope they lose.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, you know what? I consider it a win if I can get him to walk back as extreme rhetoric. So we've gone from there's a genocide that is occurring now and all electoral processes are hopeless to, well, maybe at some point in my lifetime, Republicans will win the majority of the things and then enact anti-LGBT legislation. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay.
So, would Destiny say he has changed? I would bet he wouldn't, as Destiny has complained in the past of Vosh's constant walkbacks.
I do what I do.
One big problem that I have too with the quote-unquote Vosh walking it back is sometimes I feel like he says things because he knows it plays well with his community, even if it's wrong, and then he thinks he just walk it back for free later. I can't remember every time he's done this, but he's done this like quite a bit, right? Like he's retweeted fake clips related to BLM stuff and the Capitol Police stuff that he's had to walk back the next day. He retweeted a bunch of fake clips about the GME stuff and he walked it back the next day. Yeah, especially with breaking news shit. Like he'll come out and he'll give the take that he needs to like stay pure in the eyes of his community, even if it's wrong because he doesn't need to do research or care about it. And then after like the next day or that night, or like, oh, hold on, I got to retweet that guy's wasn't good, right? He does that. Yeah, he does shit like that a lot, which is just kind of annoying to hear something like, oh, well, I walked it back. It's like, okay, sure. Like, you still got all your social credit brownie points for saying it initially. Like, I don't think the walking back, I don't think you get much credit when you do that constantly. But I mean, like, oh, the stabbing girl thing recently too. Wait, did he? I didn't even see anything in regards to that, but it's just annoying when you're like this. Oh, well, I walked it back.
Or maybe Destiny believes that if you walk back a statement, and then you also show a certain pattern of behavior, then that shows that you have changed. Then you would have to wonder, what is that pattern? Is it just no longer advocating for that position? Is it just simply disavowing the belief? Well, that can't be true, because he believed that Lauren Southern, another one of Destiny's infamous friends, has changed despite her not even disavowing any of her beliefs.
Lying. If you think she was a neo-Nazi and now she isn't, and she says her views haven't changed, either you're wrong or she's lying.
Yeah, I think she's underselling what her views used to be. That would be my take on it.
Another way of saying that's lying.
Yeah, if you want to say lying, sure, lying, yeah.
Is it just simply apologizing for it? Well, that also can't be true, since Destiny hates apologizing.
I understand, but my next question is about your apologies position, which was, you said, I don't think people should apologize. Do you think people should apologize for being Nazis if they were Nazis?
I don't think I said that I don't think people should apologize. I might have like said it wrong. I just
want to be clear.
Yeah, but I personally, I don't care about apologies ever. I don't ever want to hear one. I don't give a fuck, ever. That's my position. If you want to apologize to people, they kind of makes me feel
You're okay with Nazis reintegrating themselves in society without making acknowledgement that they were Nazis?
Yeah, especially in today's time. I don't give a fuck about that.
And that's why he has never apologized for any of the stuff he has done. My point is that a behavior that shows that you have changed is very arbitrary. Now the best possible answer Destiny would give is that you would have to acknowledge that you were wrong in the past, and after a certain amount of time you would be redeemable in his book. However, what is that certain amount of time? Again, this is very important because his mowed down dipshit protester comment was no more than 2 years ago, so you could still say he is still fully responsible for calling redneck white people to kill rioters, despite him defending the concept of rioting, and despite any walkbacks. Also, do you honestly think that Destiny of today thinks that people like Shonet have truly changed, since there has been a certain amount of time between her being far right and then switching to being far left?
Yeah, did you watch some of Freemanhead's recent content?
No. Why was it? She's taking a hard left, like Bernie or Buster.
Yeah, she has. Yeah. She has on Twitter and so forth. But the funniest thing about all these people converting into leftism, confessed into leftism, is that their content it's like really hasn't changed much.
I think wasn't Shonehead always like kind of left wing?
Not really.
She's like friends, but like right wingers or whatever. Wasn't that like her shtick?
Yeah, she maybe was a Lauren Southern back in the day. At least one of them I remember.
I don't think she was left wing. She was like anti-SJW.
Yeah, that was
like centrist.
Yeah, like,
I don't think she had like a serious political position. It was just like what she said YouTube videos basically. Yeah.
And then she also dated, this is a little sexual, she dated that armored skeptic guy, and I felt like they shared a lot of opinions. Say that.
I wouldn't say so. So finally, we have established that Destiny still believes that if someone is stopping him from doing his job, then you're allowed to dox them and take up arms against them and their father, despite their father having very little to do with the DDoS attack. And again, Destiny never walked back these statements, so we have to assume that he still holds them.
And second, if people are rioting and burning a building down, then redneck white militiamen are allowed to take up arms and shoot them down, despite Destiny defending rioting in the past. These are all actions and statements that would easily qualify under Destiny's definition of terrorist.
I understand that these are all from clips in the past. However, these are all principles that Destiny still supports till this day.
Okay, so I want to briefly answer several questions one might ask themselves when watching this video. One being that why does it not matter why Destiny and Vosh were right in making these statements?
And that the reason for this is that in Destiny's definition of a terrorist, he himself did not even make a distinction on whether or not a person was right or wrong in doing a very bad violent action. And I believe that this is very fair for him to do so because again, he later discussed that some people on the left of the political spectrum would not even consider BLM as a terrorist. Since people on the left believe that BLM are generally in the right, and some people on the right of the political spectrum wouldn't even consider people on January 6th as terrorists because they believe that they were also in the right. So even if Vosh was 100% wrong and Destiny was 100% right in making their controversial statements, at the end of the day we have to have a non-biased view when giving someone a label of terrorist, as it is really subjective to be honest.
The second question I would think some people watching this video might ask themselves is, why does it matter that Destiny called Vosh a terrorist? Destiny clearly does not really give that much weight to the term by looking at the way he defines it. And to that, I would say that Destiny may not put a lot of weight to the definition. However, he did put a lot of importance in calling Vosh a terrorist. He even went as far as saying he would spam report all the videos of Vosh making his claims.
Then what, in that example, if that's a genocide, what is the response that is more revolutionary?
What are you trying to do, get my channel ban?
When people are giving
Dude,
you...
if I was less lazy, I would like spam report every single one of these fucking videos. This is actually like fucking unreal, dude.
I would say that this is huge for Destiny to even say this. Destiny almost never reports anyone, and so him to not only go as far as saying that Vosh's statements are the worst he has ever heard online made by a political figure, but also he would try to get him in trouble by reporting it, which is an action Destiny is willing to do, if he wasn't lazy of course. This means that Destiny does truly put a lot of significance in Vosh's statements. The third question I think some people would ask themselves is that, well, what is the point of this video? Is it just to show that Destiny's a terrorist too? Well, kind of. I mean, that is the title of this video. But also, I believe that Destiny holds some responsibility in getting Vosh to what he said recently.
As you will see later.
So since now I'm confident that I've fully proved why you could consider Destiny to be a terrorist, I'm going to break away from trying to be non-biased and make stronger statements. And by that I mean that I'm going to start making some prescriptions and explain some of the things I believe Destiny's doing that is wrong.
So as you may notice, Destiny has a huge pattern of making radical statements, some of which he still holds till this day. However, similar to Vosh, there are some that he ends up walking back.
You genuinely do hate conservatives, don't you? Very much so. I've moved full on to like the political violence level, or the real violence level when it comes to conservative people. Yeah, I think they need to be like excised from my fucking country. I think they're demonstrably fucking evil people by any moral system that most people would use. And I just hate them because they tend to destroy the outcomes related to this country, which is what I'm concerned with, yeah. Jesus Christ. People by any moral system that most people would use. And I just hate them because they tend to destroy the outcomes related to this country, which is what I'm concerned with, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think I would disagree with myself here quite a bit. Am I supposed to be locked into things that I said in 2016? Yeah, I would disagree with this a lot, obviously.
I believe this clip is way worse than the statement Vosh has said, yet this clip is only from just a few years ago. As you can tell, this is a clip from a video from a few years ago of Destiny just casually talking about how he wants conservatives removed from his country because they ruined the outcomes of the United States. I say casually because one of Destiny's critiques of Vosh is that Vosh just casually said that lefties should take up arms and shoot certain far-right protesters from their window. And for those that say that Destiny was not casual in this video, if you look at the comments of this video where this clip is from, and also compare his tone in this clip to his tone of some of his heated debates, there is a definite sharp difference. Now again, if you compare Destiny's statements in this clip, and with Vosh's statements recently, you could see a lot of similarities. Destiny said that 1, he thinks that conservatives are evil just like Vosh, and by any moral system anyone would use, meaning that the Destiny of the past would fully agree with the Vosh of today, even though Vosh used a different and admittedly weak moral system to justify why conservatives are evil.
There's nothing mutually exclusive there. You can say a person is evil while also recognizing there are socioeconomic justifications for their behavior. Evil is
not the analysis that you had. It was just like, that's it.
At no point,
can't pull them out of it.
At no point I've never made this an intrinsic thing.
When you call somebody evil, you're essentializing them to some extent. It's very rare. It's like, that guy's evil. Damn, you're saying he can't be changed? No, I just mean like he does evil things. There's a difference between saying somebody does bad action versus saying they are evil. When you call somebody evil, they don't really sound very, they don't sound redeemable.
2. His reasoning for advocating for political violence against conservatives was because they destroy liberal outcomes of the country, which is basically what Destiny of today criticized Vosh of saying.
What did I do? How is this not just an ultimate, like, I didn't get my way democratically, so now I'm going to start killing people? Isn't that really what Vosh is talking about at the end of the day? What if they start passing laws that we really don't like? What if they start doing things that we hate? Don't we need to kill them? Like, isn't that really what we're talking about at the end of the day? It's kind of what it feels like.
My point is that Destiny from a few years ago is basically the Vosh of today if you look at his aggressive rhetoric, except back then, Vosh was still a part of Destiny's community, and Destiny got very little pushback from his statements at the time, or at the very least, Destiny would have to admit that he did not get the same level of pushback as Vosh did recently. And so what surprises me is that Destiny used very aggressive rhetoric in the past, saying that he wants conservatives flat out removed in his country, which means that not only is he implying that he wants conservatives to be killed, that's not even the worst part, but he's also implying that conservatives don't even have a right to exist in this country. And so Destiny, I have to ask, why are you even surprised that Vosh made the type of statements he said recently?
This guy, I fucking hate this guy. This is my worst creation ever. I'm so sorry.
For all the people that say that it is very unfair that I'm putting the responsibility of Vosh statements onto Destiny, which to be fair, I only believe that Destiny deserves some of the responsibility, but you also have to understand that Vosh has watched Destiny since he was a young teenager, that even though Vosh is a full-grown adult when Destiny made that comment, Vosh was still a huge fan of Destiny and possibly looked up to him. If you still feel like it's a stretch, let's imagine a hypothetical where Vosh later on had a major fan from his community who so happens to make content on YouTube and Twitch, and Vosh strongly promotes him/her, and that same person is listening to current Vosh saying that lefties needed to get ready to defend themselves against conservatives, and then that person later on grows a huge channel and gives the same rhetoric Vosh said previously. Do you honestly think that Destiny would say that Vosh had little to do with getting that person to where he is at that point? I could bet money that Destiny wouldn't. And for some of the people who are still not convinced, here's Destiny arguing my exact point.
People like internet personalities like Lauren Southern and Tenfold, do you think they're like radicalizing people on the right to go get guns and kill people?
Yeah,
You really
I
believe
think if they're not doing it themselves, but creating the necessary preconditions for it to happen, yeah.
And when you say the necessary preconditions,
like they're helping to popularize that thought. Like even if the Christchurch guy didn't know who Lauren Southern was at all, like if he's basically repeating verbatim points that she's helping to popularize, or with the most recent guy in Buffalo, if his manifesto looks indistinguishable from a Tucker Carlson monologue, well, it's like, well, how can you not say there's a problem here, right? It seems like something is going on here, right?
So if Destiny can understand that if a radical person is repeating similar talking points and rhetoric as Lauren Southern, then she could be responsible for radicalizing them, even if that person does not even know who Lauren Southern is. And despite Lauren Southern making the statements a couple of years ago, then Destiny definitely should be able to understand that his statements from a few years ago could have definitely radicalized Vosh, especially since Lauren Southern made her great replacement video years before Destiny made his statement. So finally, to wrap all of this up, as clear from the clips I've shown, Destiny definitely needs to start watching his words more carefully. Destiny, whether he likes it or not, is a very influential figure with hundreds of thousands of supporters, and he runs a huge potential in radicalizing his audience. And so I just hope that since Destiny is currently writing his manifesto against Vosh, that it would be negligent to not at least put that he was partially responsible in radicalizing Vosh to where he is now. I believe it is more than fair to think this, and that it would be negligent to not do so. He already admitted that he radicalized his audience way too far to the left, and with watching his past content, I'm honestly not even too surprised. Let's just hope that as he critiques lefties more and more, he does not make the same mistakes in the past and start radicalizing his audience way too far into the right. Oh wait.
There are two groups of people that should never, ever say fucking anything about pregnancy or women giving birth, okay? The worst group are women that have never been pregnant, who just say beyond stupid shit all the time, and are just utterly fucking clueless about anything having to do with pregnancy or the pregnant experience, okay? If you're a woman and you've never been pregnant, shut the fuck up about abortions. Shut the fuck, like, unless you talk to other women that have done these things, you're clueless, okay? Just because you have all the plumbing to produce a child doesn't mean you've been through the fucking process, okay? Like a college woman that's never been pregnant, when you talk about pregnancy, is gonna be saying some wild shit. All pregnancies are destroying your body permanently. When you get pregnant, your body is completely fucked for the rest of your life. Everything's completely fucked, and giving birth is the hardest thing ever. It's the worst pain ever imaginable, and it's destroying everything. And it's like the most soy fucking shit. We need to spend more time watching Hangman, because goddamn, I hate women.
Well, how Jewish are you?
Thanks for keeping DGG pure. They're trying to keep out a woman of color just for speaking her mind about Jewish supremacy. Go be Jewish somewhere else. No, Max, I don't mean all Jewish people, just you. I thought you were a stereotypical Jew, but that was anti-Semitic. We're from the same place culturally. Our two groups were from the same place. It doesn't make fun of myself. It's crazy that she made this argument. I wonder if she sees a problem with race Africans being racist to African Americans. Like, I don't understand how she could be this mask off. Also, Destiny, I would expect Nick Fuentes to say this. I might expect Lauren to go mask off. I wouldn't expect someone who doesn't have their past to go so mask. She was basically justifying racism. Destiny was batting so fucking hard. It's so crazy how he said, well, to be fair, she talked about your family's special past. Like, it wasn't to be because you are Jewish, you have affluence to wealth generationally. This is just cringy. Also, Brittany, you would be giga cringe if you said white people as well. She sounds like my friend's white parents who try to say something in non-racial ways that they come out a greasy, slick back mudcoons. Like, bro, you're making yourself look better anyway. Like, bro, you are unhinged. Like, but this shit doesn't come up. Will you engage with it at all? Just call unhinged? I won't engage with it. Yeah, I don't know the motivation for it. I'll just call you unhinged. You can call me unhinged.
Why were people offended?
It has nothing to do with me. It's just that you in an out of context clip saying go be Jewish somewhere else sounds anti-Semitic.
Richard Spencer is like a moderate liberal now.
We're here to extract a full-throated endorsement of Lauren Southern. We're not going to...
That's what I'm here for. I endorse everything she has said, ever will say.
Oh, right, yes!
That's right.
Do you think, you don't have to answer if you're scared of TS, but do you think those, like, the goth genders or the people we're talking about should be incorporated into the letter T? Like, what if we just, like...
No, I think I got
letter?
radicalized by my trans emails. I think I would be considered what's called
I
think I'm transmedicalist. Yeah, I think that if you don't have dysphoria, I think that those experiences or whatever can be recognized, but I think it's not trans. It needs to be classified.
LGBT.
Yeah, you make it a new letter, promote a queer or whatever, like
cute letter.
Yeah, sure, something like that. Yeah. If I were to run Overton window of where like all of the American public was at in terms of like positions, I think that there would be a pretty big overlap with Groypers, and progressives are hardcore dwindling. Like even the mainstream progressive movement is like dwindling hard. But I think that the Groypers are overlapping more, or mapping onto more American opinions on the right and even towards the center than the progressive movement is. So like given like a set of independent minds, I almost feel like Groypers would win over like independents versus like farther left people like Hassan or Chang or the majority of the party, whatever.
Destiny is like the only person who says subhuman more often than I do.
Actually, to be clear, I do not say subhuman anymore. Instead, what I am now saying is
Untermenschlich.
Untermenschlich. I don't want there to be any ambiguation. I am whatever that means, Nazi. Do you realize it's a legit Nazi dog whistle? No! It's not a Nazi dog whistle. It's just a Nazi phrase, okay? I want to move past from the dog whistles. I want to go down to lower frequency so you can all hear me.
Hey, so thanks for watching my video. I know a lot of the clips may seem like they're taken out of context. However, hopefully you can understand that I've tried my best in this video to give Destiny as much charity as possible. What surprised me the most when making this video is the fact that there aren't really that many channels that are dedicated to making videos of Destiny's most controversial takes. Best is of course Destiny's channel, however, August loves releasing videos in huge chunks, unlike channels like Coconut Island that spread out clips from a live stream into several videos. Also, there aren't really any timestamps on Destiny's YouTube channel as well, which is mind-boggling. But anyways, I won't focus too much on criticizing August's ways of making YouTube videos. Who knows, I might make a video in the future about why August is heavily overrated. Anyways, if you liked the video, please subscribe and comment on the video. I also have a Patreon that is up and running, so please donate to my Patreon, as since I am a very small channel with almost no subscribers, it would help me out a lot if you could donate.
Also, donate to my PayPal if you like. I'll leave the link of my PayPal and my Patreon down in the description of this video. I'm also looking forward to making more content in the future, as I have inferred, so please stay tuned.